My name is Agostino Ruggeri. I'm the Managing Director and original founder of the business way back 25 years ago. The idea of coffee machines was pretty much to do with, I guess, my Italianness. I got together with a colleague who joined me, is now my business partner, Enzo.
The relationship I had with Ago started very, very early on. It's been a really tight family-based relationship.
When we set off in the late 80s,
it was a lot of Italian immigrants, for example, a lot of cafes, a lot of restaurants, of course.
Certainly in the London area, Parmigiani was the old immigrant Italians mainly from Parma, and Costa Coffee, Sergio and his brother, the Costa brothers, were very prolific within a small market. They were the leaders in those days. There was no serious espresso cappuccino production.
Trying to sell coffee machines in the early days, and we also used to do ice cream machines, was quite unusual because it was quite seasonal. Over the years, ice cream has faded away and coffee has carried on.
To sell a £2,000 coffee machine to someone who's not ready for you is not easy. I found it really, really difficult to sell to non-Italian customers. The thought of, in those days, spending nearly £2,000 on a coffee machine horrified the English restaurateur and hoteliers. They just, £2,000 to make a coffee, you must be joking.
The transition comes in the 90s when we see the development of so-called specialty coffee, the coffee shop chains.
We knew something was going on because we kept hearing about this coffee explosion in America on the West Coast, and that's why we went out to have a look. So we got on a plane, went to the West Coast, went to Seattle and had a look and saw this thing called Starbucks.
They used that format of a place where you would actually go, sit down, drink a coffee, enjoy the time and enjoy the coffee, and were prepared to actually therefore pay for a nice coffee and expected, of course, to see a coffee that justified the price you were paying for it.
You realise there's got to be a time when England embraces proper coffee. The roast and ground, the fresh milk, the fresh coffee, it had to go there at some point. When
the specialty market started to develop, we were well positioned because we did some research on it and had to have some good products that actually fitted the bill. Our very, very first chain was actually the Seattle Coffee Company that then became Starbucks in the UK. We took our first premises in Elstree, which is Hertfordshire, of course. By the way, my home is Hertfordshire as well, so we are a complete Hertfordshire company from day one. We were the first people to introduce bean-to-cup machines to Pret-a-Manger Group, and they were nowhere near the size they are now, so that was quite interesting. We worked with people like ASK Group, Pizza Group, which then obviously expanded to these, and of course Cafe Nero. We've worked with them since day one, and that's evolved very nicely up to where we are today.
I've been involved with Cafe Nero since before we started. Mulmar, they knew what they were doing, they were very professional, they knew more than we did, so we kept them in the family, and they've been there ever since. The coffee machine service and supply of coffee machines is absolutely fundamental to what we do. Without a coffee machine, we simply can't operate. I mean, we will literally have to shut the front door and just say, come back when it's ready. Clearly, no customer wants a machine that's down. As soon as a machine is not making coffee, money stops going in a till and everyone gets very excited. So it's a priority for us. Every bit of investment at this moment in time is going into improving service all the time. And I think our workshop alone is evidence of that.
But one of the things that always struck me in Ago's headquarters is looking at their distribution map where all their service engineers are, and the map is of course of the whole of the UK. So they are running operations from here, but they are running people everywhere, and that again I find very impressive.
We like to think that the business is a family. You know, we've got a very low attrition of staff, we've got a lot of members of the team who've been with us for a long, long time. We'd like people to feel welcome when they visit us. We want to see people that know what they want and recognise a good drink when they get one.
We're now now moving into a third wave where, whilst we still have the continuation of the chains on one hand, we have the growth of little artisan operations doing very upmarket, much more variation in their coffees.
Well, I think specialty coffee hasn't peaked yet. There's room for more chains, and there's absolutely huge amount of space for what we call independents.
There's younger people coming in, they're looking at new ideas.
I think of an example of the Messiah Cafe that I went to in Seattle. It was dedicated to God. You could have a holy moly espresso, I remember. Just things, quirky stuff. But it worked, it was heaving.
It is evolving all the time, and coffee's replaced the pub. To be honest, the cafe is the meeting place for younger generation.
And now hopefully we might see something that happened much earlier in the US, which has not really happened in the UK, and that's the introduction of micro roasting, so that we have these little artisan roasters bringing people into the shop, giving them a chance to taste the coffee that they have roasted in the shop.
That's how far it's come from not understanding roasted fresh bean coffee to we want to do our own. That's the whole journey of 25 years, that's the transformation.
The history of coffee and the history of Mulmar are inextricably linked. We were there in the early days of the specialty industry and have been heavily involved in taking it to where it is today. And looking at how we've been quite instrumental, I think, in the specialty involvement in the UK. From dealing with the Cafeneras of this world to a lot of the independents, and I think we've been a major player in that sector. Unknown to a degree, because our name isn't what most people know, but they know the products.
It's the best bit.
Most of the most well-known establishments in the UK will have had some involvement in there somewhere along the line, so that's one of the things I'm most proud of.